Garma, when you were asked by Congressman Arroyo whether or not you believe that the STL is operated legally or something to that effect, you said you believe so. Is
Yes,
that
Mr.
answer correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And when he asked you further why you believe so, you claim that because the 2020 RIRR was reviewed and allegedly approved by the OJCC. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. What if the conclusion of the OJCC was disproved, meaning it was found out to be wrong? Will you stop the operations of the STL?
Of course, we will respect the rule of law, Mr. Chair.
Yun nga.
Yes po.
And you believe that the opinion of the OGCC is correct as we
Yes.
speak.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Why do you believe so?
They are our corporate counsel, Mr. Chair, and all decisions, especially when it pertains to legal, we referred for further opinion po sa kanila.
Did you ask other opinions aside from your own counsel? Maaring magkamali yung counsel mo. Tao lang naman yun eh. Lahat naman ng tao nagkakamali. Tama.
Yes, yes, Mr. Chair.
Did you ask other opinions? It's a second opinion?
Our second opinion is the OGCC, Mr. Chair, because we have the legal department to do the research.
O, hindi pa rin siya ng legal department mo. Nung tinanong ko siya, di ba? Kung the Pcso is empowered to engage an agent, di ba sinagot niya ako na, well, Your Honor, because we can always resort to the corporation law. Di ba? And you referred this representation to Section 1 of your former charter as amended by BP o by Batas Pambansa 42. Tama? Tama, ma'am?
Those are numbers,
You can
Mr.
cover
Chair.
your
I'm
face
not a
if you
lawyer.
want to.
But
Okay. Ang diferensya, Madam GM, kung titingnan mo yung corporation code, yung section 13 na sinasabi ng charter ninyo, did you consider reviewing section 13 of the corporation law? Kung ano lamang ang sinasabing ahente doon?
when we crafted the IRR, Mr. Chair, we also considered all related laws, Mr. Chair.
When you say crafted, alam mo, sa totoo
Drafted.
lang, the operation of the STL will fall and rise on one section only of your IRR. And I will tell you, dito kasi magkakatalo eh. Section 4, implementation. The STL shall be implemented as a mass-based local lottery of the national government. The Pcso shall be allowed to engage authorized agent corporations or AAC to accomplish the objectives of this IRR. Let me stop there. If it is true that your charter granted you the power to engage AACs, ba't hindi mo sinabi rito that is based on your charter? Bakit na sinabi niyo rito in order to accomplish the objectives of this IRR? What you did is to refer to an IRR, but you did not refer to your charter. Because your charter did not expressly tell you that you can engage an agent. So ang ginawa ninyo, you resorted to illegal ruse. a smoke screen. Kasi hindi na po pwedeng gawin mo ito kung meron naman sa charter. Dapat ang ginawa mo, in order to accomplish the provisions of this charter. But considering the charter is silent on this, ang ginawa ninyo, you pointed out the IRR, hoping that you will be able to give justice to the engagement of the STLs. No, you are not a lawyer. Where is the lawyer? Are you sitting beside the lawyer? Can you comment on
Yes,
this?
Mr. Chair. Article, is that, article?
What I'm saying is, you were able to engage STLs in lotteries not because of your charter, but this section 4 made reference to the accomplishment of this objective through the IRR. Did you notice that? Mr. Chair, yung IRR kasi, wala namang pinagbasihan mula doon sa charter. Dahil wala silang makitang basihan doon sa charter nila, be it RA 1161, 69, or Batas Pambansa 42, ang ginawa nila, Mr. Chair, gumawa sila ng IRR at doon nila ngayon isasaksak yung justification. Ulitin ko sa iyo, the PCSO shall be allowed to engage authorized agent corporations to accomplish the objectives of the IRR. So who allowed you to engage STLs? The IRR didn't, isn't it? Not your charter.
Can
Okay, and then ang sabi mo sa akin, because indirectly you were allowed by the corporation law to engage an agent. Ang pagkakasabi mo, ahente nga. Ang hindi mo na or you wanted to comment first? Bakit kinakailangan ninyong maglagay ng provision na ang engagement ng STL is to accomplish the IRR? Why? Because wala nga sa charter ninyo eh. What is your answer? Teka muna, tawagin na lang natin yung OGCC. Is the legal of OGCC still there, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon po, Attorney Vega of OGCC.
Good afternoon, sir.
I had a hard time getting answers from your legal present in our meeting, including the GM of Pcso. So I'm sorry I have to revert back to you because you might be able to help us process an issue which is supposed to be the subject matter of this hearing. Did you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
I told the general manager and the legal officer beside her that the issue of the 2020 IRRR of the STL will rise and fall in one single section, which is section 4. It says here, the PCSO shall be allowed to engage authorized agent corporations or AAC to accomplish the objectives of this IRR. Mr. OGCC, it is very obvious here that the engagement of the STL in lotteries is to accomplish the objectives of the IRR, not the main charter of the Pcso. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And so it has no basis at all because the charter RA 1169 and the amending law, which is Batas Pambansa 42, did not mention expressly that PCSO can engage agents of STL. The IRR therefore is ultra vires. It is not a legal delegation.
Mr. Chair, to answer the query, the PCSO is also authorized to perform the following activities: to hold and conduct charity sweepstakes, races, lotteries,
We
and
know that
others.
already, Mr. OGCC. Do not preach to the choir. We know that perfectly. As a matter of fact, in the conclusion of your position paper submitted to us, on the second paragraph, you made mention about this. Since PCSO has been granted specifically by Congress the exclusive authority to operate lotteries. I will stop there. You yourself, Mr. OGCC, admitted that Congress specifically granted PCSO the exclusive authority to operate lotteries. What do you mean by the term exclusive? Can
Only
it be further
PC
delegated?
Yes, Mr. Chair, it cannot be delegated, and only PCSO can operate the particular lottery.
Yes, so that is why it is illegal for PCSO to have engaged STL, considering that you are already admitting that it is only PCSO which has the right, because it has been granted exclusive authority to operate those lotteries. And so this Section 4 is inconsistent with the charter. Kaya nga po ang ginawa nila rito, pinalalabas nila to accomplish the objectives of the IRR, but not the law itself. Mr. or Attorney Vega, with all due respect, I think the 2020 RIR is a remarkable piece of legal mambo jumbo. It's a subterfuge. It's a legal ruse. I don't think you can argue on the basis that even the corporation law can be resorted to here, because this is not an ordinary agency. The STL is not an ordinary agent. For example, I can point out to you, sabi ninyo dito, in Section 14, subparagraph B of this IRRR, in no case shall the AAC conduct an actual STL draw without the ATO. So if PCSO grants the ATO, therefore the STL can conduct the draw itself. That is the plain conclusion. So you are delegating the very authority that was granted to you exclusively by Congress. You will need another law. Attorney Vega.
Mr. Chair, the provision also in the IRR states that all STL draws shall be conducted only by the PCSO authorized personnel in such manner, frequency, and time as may be determined and approved in the PCSO and in accordance with this RIR. In addition, Mr. Chair, the STL draws shall be witnessed and certified by a panel of witnesses composed of a chairperson and two members and or COA representative. So that is still under the control of PCSO, Mr. Chair, and it's not being delegated.
Mr. Chair, I don't think Attorney Vega understood the point. Pwede po bang, can you refer to Section 4 of the IRR?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Can you read the second sentence there? The PCSO shall be allowed to engage authorized agent corporations or AAC to accomplish the objectives of this IRR. So the PCSO, Attorney Vega, is now being allowed to engage AACs not by its own charter, but by its IRR. Di ba ganun?
The authority given by PCSO, Mr. Chair, is just to collect and to sell. And that is their authority, Mr. Chair. And not
Attorney
to operate.
Vega, kaya nga pinabasa ko na sa iyo eh. I'm not talking about the authority here. I'm talking about which allowed PCSO to engage AACs. Is it their charter or the IRR?
It is their charter also, Mr. Chair.
Where in the charter can you tell me that PCSO was allowed to engage AACs?
As I have read earlier, Mr. Chair, to hold and conduct charity sweepstakes, lotteries, and other similar activities in such frequency and manner as shall be determined and subject to such rules and regulation as shall be promulgated by the Board of Directors.
So, saan po sinasabi rin yun na pwede siya mag-engage ng STL? Ang sinasabi po ron, Attorney Vega, is the manner and frequency by which these lotteries can be operated. Wala pong sinasabi roon authority for the PCSO to engage the services of the AACs. Walang sinasabi pong ganon. Kaya nga ang nangyari rito, pinalabas ninyo na meron, pero sa IRR na po ninyo ina-accomplish. Parang ang nangyari rito, dahil hindi nyo makita doon sa mismong charter po ninyo, gumamit kayo ng sinasabi nating smoke screen. Ito po sinasabi ko kanina sa inyo na subterfuge.